Hello, and a very warm welcome to another Tuesdays at 2, a seminar where I talk about a different topic relating to career management each week. And today's topic is what not to have on a resume or a CV. Today's Tuesdays at 2 is episode number 143. And if you wanted me to talk about something that's on your mind, please let me know, and I can slot it into the calendar and create a Tuesdays at 2 for you to answer any questions, because career management is very, very important today, and so many people don't manage their career, and then they regret that they didn't put the time and the effort into it when they're terminated or whatever. So today's topic is what not to have on a resume or a CV. I got to keep you till breakfast tomorrow morning. There's a whole long laundry list of stuff not to put on your resume, your CV, but I've slimmed it down somewhat to the most pertinent, the most important points that if you have them on your resume, your CV might count you out of a particular of an interview, because the resume doesn't get you a job, it gets you the interview. If anybody's got any comments, please put them in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to answer them as we go through this Tuesdays at 2, which is very, very important. Resume, CV. There's no such thing as a perfect resume CV, but you can get as close as you can, because you want to get as close to as many interviews as you can. So number one, the word objective or profile on a resume. I haven't written as a resume writer the word profile or objective probably for 15 years on a resume. Yes, you have a profile on there, but you never call it the word profile, and you never call the objective the objective. So leave those two words out. They're going to date you instantly, because first impressions count instantly. They're going to date you and put you probably in a lesser pile for the interview, whereas you could have been in the red hot pile. And also resume references available upon request. I see so many resumes, sadly, today with that. That went out in about 2007, 2008 on resumes and CVs across the world. It's automatically assumed that when you get called for the interview and the further interviews you get, you will take those references with you. And me, as a resume writer, every line counts. The real estate on a 2 to 3 page resume is limited, and I want to sell my client to the maximum. So if you put references available upon request, not only is it vastly outdated, and it's going to date you and send negative thoughts in the other direction to the hiring manager's mind, but it takes 3 lines, because you have a line above, you have the references available from request, and you have the line below. So I can sell my client. Those 3 lines are very valuable to me as a resume writer. So having the words objective, having the word profile, and having references available upon request, or any sort of part of that would count you out, or will limit your chances. So take those out, because they instantly date you. Personal details. Now, when I first started writing resumes, we used to put more personal email or details on there. Here's a global guy, global resume writer with clients in I think 31 different countries right now. Personal details used to be very, very important in certain countries, especially in Southeast Asia and Asia generally, but now it's not. And in fact, they used to have when I first started writing resumes for India and Southeast Asia, they used to have the mother's maiden name, the color of your hair, your height, your weight, all sorts of different things. Now, the personal details, all those personal details, we leave out of a CV. If the people at the other end want to see those personal details, then you put them in, but they are very outdated. So, but they have to come up to date with the current resume CV format. But anywhere in the world now, personal details is fading fast. There are in Russia and maybe a few other of the ex-USSR states. sometimes they need to have your personal details and maybe your number. Here in Canada, we call it SIN number. In the UK, they call it national insurance number. But definitely leave those out in the Western world, and only if they want it in those other countries. So personal details, a picture. This is an interesting topic. So there are still people in Europe, mainly in the Benelux countries, who still want to see pictures, and to a certain degree, certain parts of Switzerland. But generally now, pictures are fading out of resumes. They're not scannable. They go through the ATS scanning machinery. And if you've been watching me on Tuesdays at 2 or going to my YouTube video, you see that I put a lot about ATS resume, and you get one kick of the can, and you don't want to send it out of the ATS because you don't get a second chance. So having a picture on your resume, your CV, counts you out because it's classed as a graphic. And there are very few people now who would need to see pictures on your resume, your CV, anywhere in the world. To a certain degree, the Benelux region, but lesser and lesser and lesser. Next one is unprofessional email. So don't have Hotmail on there. Try and avoid Yahoo, and there's a few others. When first emails came in, they were different to what they are right now. I would suggest you have your local internet provider, or you have a Gmail, which is a global account. So your internet provider or your local internet provider would be a good email, far more professional than Hotmail, Yahoo, and there's a few others that were around many years ago and are now seen. The perception is they're dated, but and Hotmail is very unprofessional. So I think we got some questions coming in, which is great. So let me have a look at them. Ladan, do you advise against including hobbies on your resume? Well, that's coming up, so stand by, hold the line here, and wait for the rest of the topics coming up. Don't have a Gmail. Well, if you have your local John, if you have your local ISP provider, but as I say, don't have some something like Hotmail or Yahoo, or they're very dated. Hotmail is definitely unprofessional. But have a professional. You can get Gmail, you can, and keep it very professional. You don't want to be counted out just for the sake of an email, and I know people have. It's free web-based email, the same as any of the others. Yeah, Gmail is a good option for you to have. So next one is charts and graphics. So with the advent of scanning machinery in the last few years, the more graphics and the more charts and tables and whatever you put on your resume, you're going to complicate that ATS scanning application, and you're going to send it out of its normal processing, and when it's processing you as a viable candidate. So I would suggest no charts, no graphics. Now, they do play a part. If you've got, when you get called for the interview, you can have a resume, what I call the interview resume. So you take it with you and you give it to the person, either the individual interviewer or the panel, and then you can then those resumes, because they're not going to be scanned because you've already gone through that process and you've got the interview, will be then charts and graphics are acceptable, because charts and graphics can really incite an intrigue in you, because they tell a facts-based story. But don't put them in your initial resume, because that is really going to hurt the ATS system. It throws it all out. It's a computer. You can never beat a computer. So try and steer clear of charts and graphics. The next one goes without saying, but I still see it very often, is typos. So grammar errors and typos. Keep them out of your resume. One mistake and that can reduce your chances of being called for an interview. So typos. Next one is salary history. So many people, you're pigeonholing yourself if you go for a salary, you're putting yourself in salary right up front. So never put your salary history in your resume. I believe we got another question here. Oh, that's a good one, John. Yeah, that's a very good one, John McEwen. So he's got career at johnmcEwen.eu. So that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable. Yeah, and that is really good. So typos, salary history, multiple phone numbers. Now, we all have a cell phone, we have a home phone, we may have a business phone, we have all sorts of different phones. Just keep it to one phone which you use a lot, probably your cell phone, and make it easy for the executive recruiter or the hiring authority to give you a call. But keep a number of telephones out, but never have your business line, unless it's you own that particular company. But if you work for a corporation or an NGO or non-for-profit, it's considered highly unprofessional to have your business telephone number, and same as your business email. That's very, very highly you get downgraded for having your business email. It's a job search, your career management is all personal. Don't take time of the corporate life, your employers, your NGOs, your not-for-profit, your corporate time, and do a job search. So emails, work emails, are considered highly unprofessional. So multiple phone numbers, a solid wall of text. So we don't read solid walls of text. There's a psychological barrier. Books are written, newspapers are written in paragraphs or small chunks, and keep it up to small chunks. I would say you can have one block of text of 4 lines or more for the ATS, and then the rest has to be maximum of 3 lines. And then you bullet each of those 3 lines and always start off with an action verb. So never repeat an action verb between page 1 and page 2. You can repeat it between page 1 and page 3. So a solid wall of text, that's very confusing, doesn't scan well, and people tend not to read it. You want your resume, your CV to be read as much as possible. That's the idea. When a client engages me, I want my clients to get the maximum impact, the maximum hits from their resume. So solid wall of text. Now we're coming up to the question that was asked a little while ago: hobbies and interests. I have, because I specialize at the very senior mid level all the way through to the senior executive level. I very, very rarely put hobbies and interests there. So if you're a coach on a sporting team or whatever, I tend to leave those out. However, there are a few, open doors where I have put hobbies and interests. I'll give you one or a couple of examples. I had a client who's into marathon running, and he was in the top 40 of all the top 8 marathon races in the world in 1 year. So what does that tell you? That tells me a lot about that person: perseverance, stamina, all sorts of different things. So that was worth putting on. And he did get comments on that in the interview. And then secondly was one of my other clients. He had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, Mont Blanc, Mount Everest, and a couple of others, Mount McKinley, and I can't remember, Mount Kilimanjaro. I can't remember the other one, but yeah, I mean that tells a lot of your drive and all sorts of different soft skills and sort of hard skills come in that. So that's he climbed all those mountains, and that was a great topic of conversation in the interview, of course. But being a hockey coach or a football coach, soccer coach, is a really passe. Volunteer work, yes, is good. Volunteer work, I call it volunteer work or community involvement. If you are on a board of a not-for-profit, you need to probably show that, and that's good. Or you were handpicked, coming back to the hockey or sporting world, if you were handpicked or you were nominated to be the chair of the Canadian tournament soccer tournament or something. So then, yeah, I mean that shows a lot of you're almost a board director and a lot of administration, organizational skills and whatever. So I would put that on there, but not hockey and not coaching per se. Passive language. Next one. You are designing, drafting, and presenting your resume to get the interview. Passive language, weak language, doesn't get you the interview. So the English language is so amazing. There are many, many, many other words for one word. So think about using some very bold and brassy words that's going to make you stand out. Probably words that are you don't use too often, but they're in your vocabulary, and then use a very not aggressive language, but very proactive instead of being passive language. And if you're stuck for words, so when you go into Word, you type in a word that you think is good, go to the synonyms, and they're often there. You can get other words, but try not to repeat words consecutively. So here we go again, action verb repetition. So the two worst functions for writing resumes, and it's consistent across the world, doesn't matter where I work, are, and you would think they are the best, the two worst functions are sales and marketing, closely followed by human resources. So those three functions, they are traditionally the world's worst CV resume writers. I very rarely see a great sales resume, marketing resume, or human resource resume. But you would think of the opposite. You would think that they would be the best, but no, they are terrible. So I'll use an example on action verbs. In a sales resume, I see the word increased, 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 increased. And it just goes on infinitum. And it's very boring and not very, very professional. It doesn't tell me that you put some time and effort into writing that resume. So what about, instead of increase, what about elevated, propelled, catapulted, raised, boosted, uplifted? So there are many, many other action verbs for one word. So go and find them out. And boosted, propelled, catapulted. They are very, very seductive and engaging words, action verbs. So think about putting those in your CV over the traditional boring ones like increased, 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 increased. Doesn't show me very much ingenuity either. And then the crux of a resume today is now you're going to be hired because of your performance, not because of your responsibilities. Now there is a section in a resume where they want to see your number of direct reports, indirect reports, your CapEx budget, your OpEx budget, and your P&L if you have it. And then if you are a number of offices or number of countries, you put work in 29 different countries or manage 29 different countries or whatever. So that's the only responsibilities. Your resume CV will now revolve around performance. So make sure you highlight, make sure you emphasize your performance. Built around the acronym called STAR. So situation, task, action, result. Situation, task, action, result. What I call STAR stories. So you're going to be hired not because of your responsibilities, but because you can make the money, save the money, streamline operations, eliminate headcount, introduce new systems and processes. The list goes on and on and on. So tell the world, tell your next employer that you can do that, and tell it in a very succinct STAR format, because we hire people for their performance, not because of their responsibilities. I can just go on the internet and I know what every function's responsibilities generally is, but I'm interested in your performance, you standing out, your differentiator. That's what a resume is. So you need to have a resume that makes you to stand out to the reader, to the ATS, and to the reader at the other end, whoever that may be. So all the best in your resume writing. It takes, as a rule of thumb, about an hour and a half for every year in your career. So if you're a 20-year career person, you're going to say kiss goodbye to about 30 hours to rewrite your resume. That tells me that you're going to write a good resume. So hopefully you've got some good tips there, what not to have. Let's go through them again very, very quickly. The words objective, profile, and references are available upon request. That's like a cardinal sin. Personal details, so don't have anything personal. And then your picture, don't have a picture. An unprofessional email, so Hotmail, Yahoo, and definitely your business email. And then personal pronouns. I think I missed this one out. Personal pronouns. Never have the word I, my, he, or she in your resume. Don't have personal pronouns at all in your resume. Charts and graphics. Yes, they're nice. They're colorful. They elicit intrigue, but they don't go through the scanning machinery. They take up a lot of space. But you can have them when you get called for the interview, and you give that resume with those charts and other graphics and whatever to the interviewer. That adds to your credibility. Typos, goes without saying. No typos, no grammar mistakes. Salary history. Don't need to put your salary history because instantly you're pigeonholing yourself before the first interview. So no salary history. No multiple phone numbers. Only have one phone number. A solid wall of text. So like a black box right in front of you. You don't need to have a solid wall of text. Break it up into chunks, and always start off with a different action verb. Your hobbies and interests. On anybody who's got more than say 6 years in business as a professional, hobbies and interests drop out unless you've got something particular, which I explained earlier on. Your passive language, so be very proactive, very active, very engaging. So seduce the reader into wanting to pick up the phone using the English language to the maximum. Action verb repetition. So use the word that increased as an example, and responsibilities over accomplishments. So that's it. That's a whole long list. There are many more. Has anybody got any other comments or questions that they want to share with me? That doesn't have to be related to today's topic, but if you got any questions on career management, how to introduce yourself to executive recruiters, personal branding, job search, the list goes on. I'm more than happy to help you. I'm going to share my my email with you. I'm going to share my email with you at the bottom there. If anybody wants a free, no obligation, no sales pitch, resume, CV critique, please email it to me at that address, martin@aneliteresume.com, and then I will set up a 30-minute free Zoom call with you. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. I will set that up and we can go through your resume, your CV from top to bottom. If anybody wants a LinkedIn audit, I'm also willing to give you a free LinkedIn audit from top to bottom, because LinkedIn should be fully complete. Don't have the skeleton LinkedIn like basic text. You need to fill it right in, because Google's going to give you extra algorithm visits, and there's a whole long list of other things that are going to be beneficial to you. And then if you want to learn more about career management, please type my name in, Martin, last name Buckland, in YouTube. Find my YouTube channel, and there are over 500 videos for you to browse. So, and there's more coming up. And if you want a video, you've got something that's confusing you and you want me to shoot a video or be on Tuesdays at 2, have it as the topic, please send me an email to martin@aneliteresume.com, and I'll oblige. I'd love to help you, and I'd love to discuss that particular topic. So I am an executive career management practitioner. So I manage the people going up to the C-suite from the senior manager. And then I'm also a global expert in EMBA, so Executive Master of Business Administration, and all levels, all functions, all trades in the mining sector. Because where I am here in Canada, that's the capital of the world for mining. 83% of the world's head offices are here. Mining head offices are here in Canada. Very interesting sector. Exploding sector. Very, very hot right now. So if anybody's got is in mining, you should not be unemployed for longer than a few weeks. So thanks for listening. I will be back next week, the Tuesdays at 2. The topic next week will be Google Alerts. Have you heard about Google Alerts? It's a free service that's available to you, and it can play a huge role in your career management. So unless anybody's got any other topics or questions or comments, we'll call it quits for today. Been a pleasure. And I will be back next Tuesday for another Tuesdays at 2. Have a great week. And remember, always do something this week to manage your career. Always manage your career.